is up, Raider Nation? Week 1 officially in the books. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about following that huge win, of course, over the Ravens at home. You know who I am. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show presented by Cox. I'm Erin Coscarelli alongside my all-pro tackle, Lincoln Kennedy. I am so glad I have you here. We have so much to talk about, but how poppin' was Allegiant Stadium on Monday?
Oh my goodness, the standard was set so high, Erin, that from this point forward, you've got to look at games in Allegiant Stadium as a place to be. Star-studded, great game, great atmosphere, absolutely electric. It was earth-moving.
It was so loud, too. I mean, it was absolutely, I love that you used the word electric, because the performance on the field, the performance off the field, people that were able to come to Allegiant really got what they needed, and they delivered.
Absolutely.
Silver and Black delivered.
Yeah, having that Monday night stage and showing the world what Allegiance looked like, and then the Raiders going out there and having a great performance. Max Crosby, AFC Player of the Week this past week. This was a great tribute and a testament to the Raiders team who found a home in Las Vegas, and they made a lot of dreams come true that night.
Oh, man, it was so much fun. Absolutely. It's going to get even harder. We've got a lot to talk about on today's show. Of course, we're going to preview the Steelers, but first, let's talk about what you saw from the offensive line. 4 new starters. This is why I'm very happy. I have my all-pro here, because what did you think of the offensive line? 4 new starters.
I thought they did a good job. I mean, it took a little while to settle in, and of course, everybody had those initial jitters, especially when a lot of guys didn't play preseason. But Alex Leatherwood, I think, finished very strong and being a rookie in his first game out, especially the guys that he was going up against. Overall, I thought the offensive line did very well at holding up their position, and as many throws as Derek had to throw to win the game, they did a good job at keeping them virtually very much clean.
Yeah. I mean, 3 sacks.
Yeah, 3 sacks.
He did have a fumble. It wasn't a turnover. But overall, with 4 new starters, that's not easy, right?
No, it's not. It's not easy. It's the National Football League, and there's those guys on the other side of the ball get paid too. So you really have to set your table high. And
it's going to get even harder. Of course, we're going to talk about the Steelers' defense, that defensive line, and Mr. T.J. Watt momentarily. But we do have an injury. Denzel Good, our right guard, goes down, which means it's John Simpson time.
Right.
So how concerned should we be about losing Denzel Good, who was familiar and a guy that we had last year?
Yeah, Richie Incognito didn't play Monday night, and John Simpson, I think, did a good job stepping up to the plate. He's definitely better than himself than he was last year. He had trouble with the bull rush, and I thought he did a really good job at stepping in and taking on the start this week. It's always hard to replace a guy, but I'm expecting big things out of Jermaine Illuminor, because he came into the game and gave Denzel a spell and finished the game. And the Raiders recently signed Jordan Simmons, but I'm also looking at Lester Cotton eventually probably coming up from practice squad. It's going to be a rotation with these guards this year to find out who makes the best fit.
Well, and look, the one thing I feel good about, because I was asking you earlier, how nervous should we be? This was also a situation we had to deal with last year. Of course, Richie Incognito going down. We lost Trent Brown early. And you know who stepped up, actually? Tom Cable.
That's exactly right.
Tom Cable. We were showing you the experience, career starts from those guys. Not a whole lot.
No.
But my question to you next is it easier? It's never easy to lose anybody on the line, but is it easier to lose a guard over a tackle, or do you feel like it's squash? It's the same?
No, it's the same thing. The thing about offensive lines that you see is that we get better as the more we play each other. And I use the reference we because it takes all 5 parts, the center, the 2 guards, and the 2 tackles, to learn about each other. There's a lot of nonverbal communication that goes with offensive line play, and it only comes with reps. That's why that experience is such a precedent. Illuminor has had some experience, drafted out of Texas A&M, and has played with various teams, even played in a playoff game. So that's going to be invaluable. And Simmons coming to the team, that's invaluable. So I know that Lester Cotton hasn't had an actual NFL start, but even with him on the practice squad and the way he played in the preseason was very well for the Raiders as well.
All right, well, the ultimate test we will see. Coming up, we are breaking down one of the best defenders in the NFL, T.J. Watt. Of course, Coach Gruden sitting down with J.T. the Brick. And we hear from newly acquired Denzel Perryman. All that coming up next.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. And by Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now, only at Allegiant.com.
All right, folks, Silver and Black Show back with you. Link, we talked about the offensive line. However, folks at home, it's not going to get any easier for them week 2. In fact, they're going to have to contend with a guy by the name of TJ Watt. What does that mean this offensive line is potentially in for on Sunday?
Offensive linemen classify TJ Watt as a high energy, a high motor guy. And what that means is even when you think you've got him blocked, he's still going to try to go and disrupt and be in the way of the quarterback. Now, the Raider fans can certainly appreciate it because they have a very similar player on our team that's becoming like him, a TJ Watt. Not there yet, but awfully close in Max Crosby. So this is something to look forward to. But I wanted to break down and show you off of one game what the Buffalo Bills did wrong and the ways that the Raiders are hopefully not make the same mistake. Now, before we get started, let's understand something. The splits are as wide as they are for the Buffalo Bills offensive linemen because they want to maintain the integrity of the pocket. Not so much of a cup situation, but the tackles want to widen the pocket and the guards want to control the depth. And then when you look at this tape, you're going to see how far TJ Watt is lined up on the far left. See how far away he is from the tackle.
Yeah.
His speed going upfield is going to make it hard for the tackle to create an intersections point. And because they have such big splits, naturally this tackle becomes on an island where TJ can go inside, underneath, or outside. Let's run the tape. Look at TJ Watt to your far left. He's spot shadowed, and he is going to run an angle point to the quarterback. Now, when he dips his shoulder, that makes it hard on the quarterback. But now, Cameron Hayward is on an island with the guard. He gets penetration, flushes out Joshua Allen, and Watt comes there and cleans up, strip sack, fumble.
Yeah.
His speed kept going. He looked like he was blocked, but his speed kept him going, his motor. Second play here. Look how far he is wide, outside the tackle. He's outside the tight end who's in the flex position on the far left. And you see how much distance is. Now, the Buffalo Bills in this play, they want to have the tackle and the back try to block TJ Watt. They're going to double team. This is something the Raiders do. They call it a chip. But the wide splits work against them. Let's run the play. At the start of the play, this is how the Steelers compiled it. Stop it right there. It's a game. The guard, the defensive tackle, is going to pick the defensive end. The back is not going to be in the play. TJ Watt's going to come underneath, sack.
Wow.
So now we got this one. This play is where you look at the angle. TJ Watt's going to run upfield, but he's got to get internal disruption. Now the line, stop it there, is trying to slide to him. So it's trying to be 3-on-2. See the natural lane that opens up, the passing lane, with the defensive tackle underneath? But as it collapses and breaks down, TJ Watt's there for the cleanup. It's just another from all 22. Look how disruptive he is, how far he gets up the field. He forces the quarterback to step up where he has a defensive tackle or others waiting for him. And this is just a four-man rush, so he's disruptive with his speed. Now, this last one is what we call a joker. Now, TJ Watt is actually standing up, and he's walking to his left, from right to left. Okay, he's the one who's standing up sideways. You see him, EC?
Okay.
Okay,
yep.
Now this is called a joker formation because when he stands up and walks around, he can come in any hole. But the offensive line has to be responsible for him because they know he's a rusher. Now, Pittsburgh has what they call a three-man game. The defensive end and the nose guard are going to go from right to left, and TJ Watt's going to come around the horn to try to fill the voided gap. The Buffalo Bills have a run. Watch, let's run the play. Joshua Allen's going to check at the line. There's TJ Watt right there. Josh Allen checks to a run. They're going to try to take him by surprise. They think they can get pushed. The offensive line's going to be blocking to the left, and the Steelers are going to collapse down. But look who's waiting for the running back in the hole, TJ Watt. That's just how disruptive he can be and how you've got to account for him. So that's the trouble.
And you just showed us what the Bills did wrong.
Right.
How do the Raiders account for that? What do they need to do?
Well, the Raiders usually run what we call max protection, where they either keep a tight end and a running back in, so you'll see a lot of that. However, when you do that, you're taking one less receiver out of the route rotation. And if you do for max protection, which is something the Raiders can definitely do, they got to make sure the receivers that are running the routes get open. You got to have a balanced attack. It's easier said than done, but you can't just pass the ball like 60 times and think that you can be successful with somebody as disruptive as TJ Watt.
And Josh Allen had a 79.7 passer rating. This is a guy that is not a slouch.
Right.
And TJ Watt has 18 career forced fumbles. That is the most in the NFL since 2017. So I want to ask you, how do we get the run game going? How do we account for the run game? Is that still something we need to keep in mind?
You have to be balanced.
Okay.
You have to keep a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers on their heels because, unfortunately, they can disrupt so many things in the passing game. They want to get you play one-dimensional. But Kenyon Drake might have to have a big day. We might have to have one of the other running backs step in there and do a job as well.
Yeah, I mean, and Kenyon Drake, see not a whole lot of production, but what I did like, and Eric Allen mentioned in our Raiders game day, was he had blocks when needed.
Yeah.
And that's probably something they're going to need this week. Did we want to show the QB pressures, sacks, and QB hits? Because when you're banged up on your offensive line, going up against a team that last year was #1 in all of these stats, scary.
Yeah, that's why he was such a big
scary.
offseason signing for the Steelers to bring him back. He is invaluable. And it's not just him. I know we're showcasing him, but there is a crew, there's a gang of the Steeler defense has always been good.
Hayward.
And have always, Hayward.
Absolutely.
So they've had a lot of guys that they really do. Devin Bush at middle linebacker is also productive.
This is why it's amazing getting to have Lincoln Kennedy talk about this stuff, because you're not getting it anywhere else, people, all right? Coming up next, we're going to hear from head coach John Gruden. He's joining JT the Brick in studio to talk about, of course, his old friend and Mike Tomlin. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Gruden has no fear. He doesn't. He looks at an issue or a problem and he sees it as an opportunity. I worked for him for 4 years, man. You can't fake that. It's every day from him. I've probably always generally had that mentality, but he helped me hone it and as a vocation, as a coach. His can-do approach, the positive energy that he consistently brings to whatever challenge that the job presents, helped me grow in a big way as a coach when I worked for him as a young guy, for sure.
Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin speaking about the influence John Gruden has had on him even to this day. The two started working together in Tampa Bay when a young Mike Tomlin coached linebackers on John Gruden's staff. Well, 20 years later, the two face off in a matchup that will send the winner to the tops of the AFC ranks. Coach Gruden sitting down with JT the Brick to talk about the upcoming challenge they face in Pittsburgh.
All right, Coach, you got to be excited. It was a Monday night classic, and this time you got to celebrate with the fans after the game. What was that like?
It was great. It was a really special moment just because it was the first time the fans were actually there. Being reunited with so many Raider fans was a great night, and to win the game the way we won it was a great moment I'll never forget.
I want to go back to the drive where Derek, at the end of regulation, 37 seconds ago, set up Carlson for the game-tying field goal. Walk me through that. Raider Nation believes that may be the defining moment so far of Carr's young career.
He's a really good quarterback when the game is on the line in a 2-minute drill. He's proven that. But we had a good conversation on the sidelines. He helped me with the first call. We named it after one of our local restaurants here. We call it Spago. And he threw a beautiful square in to Brian Edwards against the zone defense. He ran up there, he clocked it, and then we threw 5 verticals, and he made another great tight window throw to Edwards, who really came of age in that drive as well. And we gave Carlson a chance to tee it up, and as I've said before, I think he's as good a kicker as there is in football right now.
Let's move to the Steelers and what they pose up front. T.J. Watt now the highest paid player ever at that position. Cam Hayward. They got good players up front. They come at you in waves. What do you see?
Hayward, you say Cam Hayward? He's not Cam Hayward. He's an excavator. You ever see those big yellow excavators? Number 97, he chews up blockers. He's a premier defensive lineman in this league. He's a guy that makes it really hard to run the ball against. And when you do throw the ball, you got to deal with an arsenal of Pittsburgh Steeler blitzes and those doggone Steeler fans waving those towels. So it's going to be a great week of preparation for us. Our guys are working hard, and we can't have any excuses. We've got to go down there and showcase our mental toughness and our preparation.
Let's wrap it up with the rivalry. Take me back. You're a kid. You're watching TV with your brother, your dad. You're watching the Steelers and the Raiders. Initially, not in the same division, in the same conference. It's one of the best rivalries in all of sports.
It's like the Celtics-Lakers.
Yeah.
And every year, you don't care who's playing in the regular season. You know, those two teams, the Miami Dolphins, are going to be there in the AFC until the end. And when you look at the Hall of Famers that played on both of these teams, I mean, it was Cliff Branch against Mel Blount, Jack Lambert against Mark Van Egan. You know, it's Kenny Stabler versus Terry Bradshaw. I mean, I have great memories, not just of the Immaculate Reception game, but Lynn Swann going across the middle against George Atkinson and Tatum and vice versa. Mike Wagner and those guys in Pittsburgh, Donnie Shell. Chuck Noll, John Madden. You know, you're talking about legacy teams, and to be a part of that thing is really exciting.
And the first time you were in that rivalry, first time with the Raiders, and now it means something to you. You understand history, your coaches do. This is a big one.
It is, and you know what I like, JT, is everybody's changing uniforms. You got the fluorescent pants. I watch the Pittsburgh Steelers. I remember the Steelers just like that. And the silver and black hasn't changed one bit. When you see these two teams hit the field, it just does force you almost to think about some of the classic games in NFL history.
Good luck in Pittsburgh, Coach.
Thanks, JT.
The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila and official partner of the Raiders. And by Chevron. No gasoline gives you better mileage than Chevron with Techron. Chevron, together ahead.
Obviously, we're coming off a huge win on Monday night, but the opposite side of that is, hey, we're operating on a short week now. So off to Pittsburgh tomorrow to take on a really good Steelers team, a Steelers team that has kind of over the past, 10, 15 years really been a team consistently. They, you know what they're going to do on offense. Big Ben is a beast. When you go in and you kind of have your first look at this Steelers team, I mean, what kind of stands out to you in terms of what they do well offensively?
Like you said, man, we know that the Steelers, man, and we know how their offense run. We know how their whole teams run. You know, they're a very physical team. You know, they're very competitive. Like you said, you know, you got Big Ben back there. He has many weapons, you know, and, you know, and they're trying to establish, you know, running the football. So, you know, we got to make them one-dimensional, you know, as far as, like, game plan-wise, you know, just slow something down, you know. But, you know, we know what the Steelers offense are or that organization is in general.
Oakland has one timeout left from the 38. Carr lofts it in the air. Oh, it's caught by Crabtree. Touchdown, Raiders. You can't throw it any better than Carr just did. Oakland an extra point away from tying this one up in Pittsburgh.
Time to talk a little offense. You see Derek Carr right there. You know, he threw for the most passing yards among all NFL quarterbacks in week one. Of course, he looks to continue that momentum in Pittsburgh this week. However, as we've talked about, the Steelers have led or tied the lead in sacks in each of the last 4 seasons. I do have some good news. Carr has historically done well against Steelers DC Keith Butler. Let's show you the numbers against the DC. Can he link, as you take a look, can he have the same success with a new unit around him, especially on that tough road environment?
Yeah, well, he can. I mean, we've seen him under pressure situations stand up and be a good quarterback. He definitely can, Erin. It's one of the things, if they can create balance, unlike they had last week in the Ravens game, he has a better opportunity of being more successful rather than just sitting back and trying to pass so many times. Look, the fact that, you know, Coach said whether it was Watt or Hayward or company, this defensive line knows how to get to the quarterback collectively. And you have to know where number 90 is. Just as in years past, you had to know where Von Miller was or other, you know, perennial superstars on the defensive line. So they've got to have balance. You can't just stand back and think that you're going to be able to pick this team apart passing the football.
Well, okay, I have a question for you because, you know, the Raiders historically have struggled on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. After the Steelers and what they saw in the performance from the Raiders on Monday night, what do you believe the defense will key in on? You're talking about pressure, but are they going to go after Derek Carr? Are they going to go after that young line? Are they going to go after our run game? Are they going to go after the wide receivers? Well,
here's the thing. The Steelers are who they are. They don't necessarily need to blitz to generate pressure. You've got number 90. You've got number 97. So this offensive line is going, one of my keys to this game is going to be offensive line integrity. You've got to make that offensive, that line has got to stand up. The guards in the center have got to stand up to internal pressure. They got to keep the depth of quarterback. And more importantly, the tackles have got to run those ends around to allow Derek to be able to step up in the pocket and look down the field.
The one thing that I really liked what I saw in week one was last year the Raiders struggled finishing games down the stretch. Mm-hmm. We had the opposite happen. Slow start, but a strong finish. For me, that's good news, especially when they do struggle on the East Coast. Early time. Is that some good news for you as well?
Well, there's no doubt. But here's the thing. Here's the caveat that we haven't mentioned. The defense played well. The defense closed out the game. The defense was able to get the turnover in overtime to get the ball back for the Raiders to win the football game. And that has not happened in a while. That definitely didn't happen last year. Defense struggled. The defense showed up. And we've been talking all about the Steelers defense, but we didn't give enough recognition in the show to our defense, who did a tremendous job against a very high potent offense and a stellar quarterback who was once MVP.
They kept us in the game.
Absolutely.
They made it 14 points, and we just needed to score a little bit on the offense. They kept us in the game. I want to get to your keys to victory. What's number one going to be?
Well, the first one that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about offensive line integrity. The fact is this offensive line has got a big challenge they need to stand up to. They've got to be able to maintain the cup, maintain the pocket for Derek to be able to see. Because you know Derek doesn't like to run. So you got to be able to maintain the pocket for him to take some strikes down the field. More importantly, whether they do it out of max protection with a back or a tight end or a combination of two, I kind of expect they're going to probably have two tight ends in the game, allow Darren Waller to go out, and maybe have Foster Moreau helping out with the max protection.
You mentioned earlier about the defense. Which is a harder challenge for the defense? Because now we're facing a completely different quarterback, and of course, Big Ben. Was Lamar Jackson more challenging, or do you believe Big Ben is going to be a bigger task?
I believe Big Ben is a task because here's the thing. The reason why he's called Big Ben is because he's big in stature, right? It's not just named after a clock for anything. There's a strike zone on the quarterback. If you hit him too low, it's a penalty. If you hit him too high in the head, it's a penalty. Big Ben has a big strike zone, and he's really hard to take down. So once you get to him, you got to make sure you take him down, whomever it is. Whether it's a linebacker or defensive end, you got to make sure you take him down right away. Don't give him a chance to survey down the field because he has weapons, receivers that he can strike with.
Big Ben harder than Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Well, in the sense of bringing him down. Lamar Jackson is shifty, and he's agile in open spaces. Elusive is a good word. I'm saying, but for the most part, Big Ben is hard to bring down. Even when people get their arms around him, much like Cam Newton, he's not an easy target to bring down.
Love picking your brain, and I love the outfit you're wearing today. We definitely coordinated on purpose. Raiders looking to make it 2-0 against the team they've had a lot of history against. That's going to do it for us here on the Silver and Black Show. I'm EC. This is my guy, Lincoln Kennedy. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.